take away from this weekend and as you move on?
We are moving forward to Pitt, and we always take things from the weekend in competition, and we have a lot of work to do. I've been saying that for a long time. We have tremendous athletes in our program, tremendous wrestlers in our program, and they're going to do the work. Now we got to get better, and then tomorrow we got to get better, and then we wrestle Pitt on Friday, and then we go on to the next thing.
You mentioned it being, before, like that being a really big eyeball test for you. Now that you're on the other side, I mean, how beneficial was it to have an event like that in November to get that eyeball test?
It's not beneficial because it's that event, or you have 4 dual meets against, teams that are, they're there for a reason. I mean, they were invited there. It was a National Duals Invitational. They were invited there for a reason. And so they were stiff tests all the way around. I mean, you got to be ready to go. Hi, Claire. How are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
And so, I mean, when you're talking about like that, that doesn't mean that if it was a different event, you wouldn't take away from it either. I mean, every day in the practice room you learn, and that's how you operate. I mean, it's a relaxed approach to getting better every day. It doesn't matter that it was a stiff test in the second week. And there's certain things that you can't do as a competitor. You cannot have a lull in your wrestling. You cannot let up. You can never put your head down on the mat. You have to fight the entire time. You have to demand from yourself, like, just accountability on what a true competitor is and how do you give yourself the best chance to win. And that comes from total discipline, total dedication, and a will to get the job done no matter what the odds are. And we saw some of that too. There's a lot of spin out there, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into that spin, but there's a lot of spin out there. And we wrestled with one hand tied behind our back, or maybe one finger, 9 weights.
First time wrestling Pitt, what do you know about them?
First time, is that our first duel? Yeah, we'll go out there next year. That's what we know.
Okay.
We know that is a program that has pride, and they are savvy, and their coaching staff is a dedicated coaching staff. Coach Gavin, and I know that we got to be ready to go.
For Ryder Block to come out and have the tournament he did, or the weekend that he had against some big time opponents after a season where he has rehab, he has to go through that process. What does that say about him and his progression?
He's never satisfied. That's the first thing, and he's working on getting better every day. Like I'm saying, he's enjoying himself. He's a guy that he's an energy guy. He's a funny guy, and he's the guy that the jokes come in on the group text for the trip we're on. He's the guy that's doing that, and so energy is important to him. He went through a little bit of whatever. I don't know if I should say this or not, but his dad had triple bypass surgery last Tuesday. Had a heart attack leaving the last home duel we had. And so he spent some time up there with his family, and the Iowa Hawkeye family's with him. The prayers are there, and the thoughts and the energy back at him. But he's handled all that well, and he wants to be on the mat competing. So, hey, we need it. We need 10 weights. We need 10 weight classes.
What do you like about the way Masoma's wrestling right now? How do you like it?
That's obvious. I mean, he's scoring points, and he's going to get one when he has to get one, and we got to keep that going. We just keep a good thing going, and he's got that's a big match on Friday night. That's a circled, highlighted match on Friday night. That doesn't mean that that there's you're putting pressure on yourself, but that's probably a highlight match when you're talking about like the rankings and stuff.
He mentioned at media day that he really didn't even start wrestling until he was about, I think, a sophomore in high school. So how does that give him maybe something unique versus guys who maybe wrestled for a long time or since they were little, being relatively new in a way?
I think that wrestling is a sport where there are a lot of ways to win matches. And when you take to it naturally, like obviously he has, and plus he's a gifted athlete, But more importantly is you find a way to get the job done. There's a lot of ways to win. If you're powerful and explosive, you're going to wrestle different than if you're lanky and flexible. And that's what we do. That's what we spend our time on as wrestlers. You know, hey, this is how I'm developing, and this is the style that defines me and gives me the best chance to win. His conditioning is superb for this time of year, I'm going to say, because we got to build. And you know, this is part of the peaking process too, you know, for March. So let's keep a good thing going.
New sweatshirt? I like it.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I told Ayala, or actually both, Drew rides like glue Ayala and no break Drake Ayala. I said, I'm not going to say Dirty Dodge. So I'm not saying it.